at LALIK'S kitchen. We are here at a beautiful showroom at Eggersman showroom in Beverly Hills. Eggersman is a showroom that was opened its doors in 1908. Mr. Eggersman built a company in Germany, and he has the showrooms throughout the world. And today I have the pleasure to cook in their beautiful kitchen, and I have the pleasure to test out their appliances. Today we are not going to do any cooking. We are going to talk all about wines. And wines from Armenia. Those are special wines from Armenia. And I have the pleasure to have my guest all the way from Armenia, Victoria Aslanian. Victoria Aslanian was born in Armenia. She moved to US when she was a child. Then she moved back to Armenia, but she continued her education here. She studied in Italy. Her background is so impressive. I was reading and I was so impressed. I'm going to let her talk a little bit about her background and about the company. Victoria, welcome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for
in
having me.
Armenian.
Genats.
Cheers to you guys. And today it's all about wines, and we're going to be educated about wines. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm so looking forward to the delicious menu you have planned. I think we have an excellent wine
We're
variant.
getting hungry.
Absolutely. Yes, we are. But at least we have some wine to hold us down in the meantime.
Tell us about the company.
Well, ARMAS was started by my father in 2007. He was the first to move back to Armenia, and he purchased this undulating terrain of rock-strewn land, no infrastructure whatsoever, 450 acres of basically rocks.
Huge property.
It is rather huge, and today it's completely surrounded by an 18-kilometer, that's 8-mile wall, which we constructed by hand. We call it the Great Wall of Armas.
I can't even imagine 8-mile wall. Oh my God!
Yes,
I
and
have to
within
see
these
it.
walls, it's really something to see. Within these 8-mile wall, within these walls, we have vineyards, orchards, world-class winery and distillery, a boutique hotel, event areas. We make wines, brandies, dried fruits. We have tourists from all over the world, thousands of tourists from all over the world. So we have amazing events like Wine and Jazz Festival, Blessing of the Grapes, Harvest and Harmony, Laugh and Wine, etc. So it's really wonderful for us to be able to greet so many people from all over the world and introduce them first and foremost to the renaissance of Armenian wine. So what my family and I, and really as a nation, we're so proud of that in the little over a decade, we have truly began the renaissance of Armenian wine. And I say renaissance because it is a rebirth from antiquity. Armenia has the wealthiest, really truly wealthiest history in terms of viticulture and enology, which is grape growing and winemaking. We have the world's oldest winery, carbon dated 6,100 years old. It was discovered in 2007 in Mccabe.
I read about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
CNN did a feature on it
Yes.
saying, forget France, it seems that the birthplace of wine is a cave in Armenia. We also have some of the oldest grape varieties in the world, like Voskehat and Armenian. These are indigenous grape varieties that are still being used today. We have, we used to export to China back in the day. We were very active on the Silk Route. And Greek historians like Herodotus, Strabo, Xenophon have spoken about this, not only rich culture, wine culture that we had, but also wine trade. So now with a lot of modern know-how, in terms of winemaking and using our greatest natural resource, which is just God-given, this idyllic terroir of the vine, we are truly making a name for ourselves in the wine world, which is
I'm
no
so
small
proud
task.
of you. I'm so proud to have you here, and it's amazing. The story is amazing. It is inspiring, and young lady like you heading a huge company, like a company that has 450 acres of property.
Yes. No, it's obviously not easy. Never a dull moment, to say the least. We've had quite a few difficulties, as you can imagine, especially being in a developing nation and having to import pretty much everything aside from the grapes and some of the people, the farmers, which we're very proud of as well.
I understand you invited experts from Italy to live and work and to help you with
Yeah, we did. So the winery was completely designed and constructed by Italian crews, engineers, construction workers, architects. It's truly one of the top wineries in the world. I mean, no expense was spared. It's state of the art. So the latest equipment in enology, but also we have the artistic touch, and we have the maestro in our cellar, Emilio Del Medico, who has been our winemaker since our very first vintage, which was 2012. So we started planting the vines in 2007. We had our first vintage in 2012, which we released in 2014. So only 7 years until our very first glass. But again, whatever we could do, the best that we can do, whether it was to bring in modern know-how or expertise or equipment, or use, of course, again, our grapes, which was very, very important. We use only native grape varieties, native Armenian grape varieties, which initially it's a difficult sell, of course, because people have never heard of Karmarahut, Voskehab, Areni, Gangun. But when they do have a chance to taste these grapes, which again, from the birthplace of the vine and wine, they're truly impressed. And especially when you make a wine, as we asked of our winemaker, to show the characteristic of the soil, of the terroir, of the native grape varieties, but to do it in a manner that appeals to the international palate. So these are all fine wines, and we have quite the selection. 13 today, by the end of 12 today, by the end of this year, we'll have another 2.
Most of it.
Yes, I try to do a pairing with the impeccable menu you had planned to showcase also how some of the grapes, how the wines would pair excellently, and how, again, I know that wine quite often...
I would love to learn how to pair it, because I have no idea. I love to cook, but I understand the wine enhances the taste of the food.
And vice versa. Absolutely, and vice versa. The food can enhance the taste of the wine can enhance the taste of the food. If done very improperly, it can go bad, but this is rare. I always say, because I've seen, you know, sometimes the wine world may be a little bit intimidating to some. You know, I don't know the variety, I don't know how to taste the wine, I don't know how to pair it. I always say, as a rule of thumb, trust yourself, your palate. No one can tell you different. Exactly, and practice makes perfect. So the more you try and you just pay attention to what you like, that is going to be your best guide. But of course, there are some tips that I will certainly impart with you today.
You're not going to become sommeliers in one day, but you know, we will learn the basics.
Yeah, and
that's what we want to know.
Absolutely.
The basics of wine, and how to hold the glass, and how to serve it, and what to serve it with.
Yes,
and pretty much everything you know, we want to know.
Yes, let's start with holding the glass. So
yes.
We're having a white wine right now, and especially with the white wine, you always want to hold it by the stem, because if you hold it by this area, you're going to warm the glass. You're going to warm the glass, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty swirling it, so you want to do this. Now you can do it in the air, it's all in the wrist.
Why do they swirl it?
So
is there a reason for
yes,
that?
Of course, there's a reason for all of it. Excuse me. So you swirl it because you want the aromas to be released. The longer the wine has been in the bottle, the more it needs to breathe. So with more bottle-aged wines,
with
air. Exactly. When it interacts with the air, it breathes and the aromas are released. Right? So if you have a very old wine, let's say 5, 10 years old, even 5 years old, you may want to use a decanter. But this is basically doing what a decanter does.
The reason why we use the decanter.
Because the decanter allows the wine to breathe quickly. So this is just a manual version of doing that. But also, as you do this, you're looking to see how slowly or quickly the legs are coming down the glass. This speaks of the body and sometimes even the alcohol content. So the slower it comes down, it means the wine has more body. It's not diluted with water.
I could see that.
Also, you coat the glass, and then it allows the aroma of the wine to be trapped in the glass. So this is considered a universal wine glass in its shape and size, right?
So
and
shape matters too.
Absolutely. So this shape allows, especially for a white or a rosé, this is perfect, because whites and rosés, as they are not fermented with the skins and seeds of the grape, which is where you have a lot of flavor and aroma, so you want to trap the aroma a little bit more in the glass. So this shape It just traps the aroma. So
Does
once you,
aroma help the taste too?
of course, because 80% of taste is smell.
It
That's
is.
why, yes, that's why you always smell it before you taste it, right? So you feel it, you see it, you smell it, you taste it, and then when you toast it, you engage all of your senses for the magic of wine, right?
It is magical.
It is. And then, so depending on the glass you're using, by the way, the rim of the glass dictates where on your tongue the wine will flow. So it might go straight, it might go to the side. But what you want to do, because you have 3 receptors, right? Bitter, sour, sweet. What you want to do is kind of just allow it to settle in your mouth just for a couple of seconds, not long, just for it to go, you know, around your tongue so you get the full taste of
I've
the wine.
seen some, they gargle around their mouth. Does it make any,
Yeah, winemakers.
difference?
Winemakers do this. If you're not expert at doing this, it may come out of your nose. It happens. You might have this technical
So
difficulty.
it takes practice.
It does. But the reason why winemakers do this in a professional tasting, right? Because once more you infuse the wine with oxygen, so allowing the aromas to be released, and it goes directly to your nose. You go, you kind of smell it and taste it all around. So that's why. But for average consumption, you do not have to do that. As long as you get a nice smell, just allow the smell to settle with you for a moment. And then again, there's so many different ways to describe the wine, right? Whether we say on the nose or on the palate, how it smells or how it tastes. And you can use, anything from velvety to green apple to wet tennis balls. So many. So people just use these words as a way to communicate with one another of what they taste or smell. But there is absolutely no one can tell you that you are wrong. If you
I
tell
mostly
me,
hear like they describe like fruits, and I never hear anybody say I tasted like a vegetable or something like that. It's
no,
always a
sure.
fruit.
Yeah,
They
well,
do?
again, in common settings, yes, you're going to be very basic. But with sommeliers, you can, all across foods, different kinds of foods, textures. So it's just a way to describe it. But for instance, okay, with this gangun, we have some green apple. It's very light, citrusy. This is the kind of wine that actually very much speaks of the terroir, which is, by the way, it's a French word. It describes the climatic conditions of growing grapes. So Armenia is blessed with this terroir, as I mentioned, especially at ARMAS in the Aragats-Otom region of Armenia, where it's very, very volcanic soil. So this imparts this minerality, rich in limestone, etc. And I always make the comparison that this is a very difficult terrain to cultivate, but it's the most rewarding, kind of like diamonds, time and pressure, but it becomes more brilliant. So for us, our grapes are our diamonds. And born in this soil, they really truly show that, and it excels with time. So you can kind of smell the earth, and this is literally from the earth. This has no oak, this is an unoaked wine. That's why it's lighter, it scoops
Our
here.
earth's gift to us.
Absolutely. And by the way, I chose this wine because it also has a perfect level of acidity, and before a meal, you want something light, crisp, fresh, with a bit of acidity, because I don't know if you feel it or not, but I certainly do. You're salivating. So it's the acidity that gets you to salivate, and it gets your appetite
I
going.
thought I was hungry, that's why.
That too.
Yeah.
But this helps. So
Cheers. Should we start with our hors d'oeuvres?
I would love that.
Let's move on to our hors d'oeuvres. So I prepared a full menu. We're going to prepare mussels with garlic butter and also fettuccine. So we'll move on and we'll show you what we have prepared for you today. For the recipes, I'm going to put the links down below. You can find the recipes down below under the notes. See you at the next station.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We will conclude our introduction video here and will continue at the next video. Next, we are going to pair hors d'oeuvres with wine. Link for the next video will be down below under the notes. I invite you to join us, me and Victoria, for the next presentation. Please hit that link down below and join us at the next video.